Welcome to Living Life, the show that allows you to pursue things that make you happy, curious, and keep you open-minded. This is Living Life on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network.
Good evening, and welcome to the new tip of the month on home design concepts. I'm Tony Montuori Jr. on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. I'm sitting in my beautiful alcove here, surrounded by my fountain with my tree of life. My fire pit is glowing with warmth. I'm just enjoying this space, and you would too if you were here, but it wasn't always like this. Nick, could you put up the first picture? This is the front of the house. The ordinary, basic plants that were given to us was placed in the yard. And look at the other side of the yard. But that's not so bad. Wait until you see the backyard. Oh my God, there was nothing. But if you hang in there, I'm going to show you what we did to this yard, starting from scratch. So don't forget to follow us on Facebook and on Twitter, because you can download the episodes and you can repeat them to learn and watch the different tips that we give. Design isn't just about the inside of the home. Design is about the outside of the home as well. So enjoy our next trip into this backyard and then the front. We talk about inside decorating, and the same ideas apply to outside decorating. It's important to be organized and to figure out what your budget is, and to set up a good game plan so you know how to proceed. Here in Southern California, it is spring, and now is the time to start thinking about those gardens. So let's take a look at this beautiful garden, and I'll show you some before pictures so you can put it all together. Of course, I'm always here to help you, and you can always reach out to me on Twitter or Facebook, because we're on both. Okay, let's take a look. In this backyard, it transitions from concrete walkway to beautiful paver stones. As you can see from the past pictures I showed you before, the ground was very low, so we had to add dirt. This is the sunniest side of the house, so again, you have to remember to use indigenous plants and figure out what zone you are in, and plants that will be appropriate for your home. Here, most all the plants are maintenance free. You don't have to do trimming, although some trimming can be necessary just to keep things neat or out of walkways. But generally, everything is maintenance free. So here we go into this beautiful backyard. These are bottle brush. They're just about to flower. If you look real close, these are the flowers coming out. I'll see if I can find one that is starting to open up. Beautiful red flowers. They'll be all over the bushes. And as we turn the corner, we've laid out such a beautiful design. Here we've used artificial turf. We've made a raised bed. And I'll just point out the different plants. Again, this is a popcorn plant. It is definitely here in the desert, and it grows like a tropical plant. And yes, it does smell like popcorn. Going around, you can see just a soft, easy blend of the atmosphere and the garden with the home. And remember, your garden is visible from inside. So it's important that you center things with the main stage of the sliding glass doors or windows so you can appreciate your garden. Here, we have a fountain that is the center of our attraction. This is a natural rock that we drilled a hole through to create a fountain. It actually was quite expensive, but well worth the beauty. It was $17 an inch, and it was 22 inches to go through that fountain. But once the hole was made, a pipe could go through it and we could run the water. This sits on a 48 by 48 tub, so the water can recycle. And we've added another feature where it has an auto refill on the water system, so that if the water ever got low, it automatically fills up. Again, we've incorporated the bottle brush plants to the backyard, and as you can see, the symmetry of using multiple of the same plants really gives it an elegant look instead of doing so many different varieties. And again, we've incorporated that heaven, man, and earth, with the bottle brush being the heaven, and then the small plant underneath is called Mexican Petunia. That gets a beautiful purple flower, and it blooms all year practically. We broke up the paver stones here, and there's my shadow, of using, it's an egg crate concrete look, and then the grass is applied in between the squares. So it gives it a natural form, but yet as I walk across the surface, everything is level. Different sculptures add texture, because not everything has to be a plant in your garden. Just like our sculpture of the big clock, here saying it's 10 to 4, and it is beautiful here. But it is important, again, to use different variety of plants to give that texture. Here is a yucca plant, and next door to it is something called slipper bush. Slipper bush here in the desert loses its leaves in the winter, but yet becomes full bloom of leaves all year round. The flower is actually in the winter, and as you can see, it looks like a pair of ladies' slippers. This is also called a yucca. It's called a red yucca. It's a spikier form of the yucca plant. And next to it is something called Iox aura. Iox aura gets beautiful orangey wax-like flowers all year round. And of course, keeping the symmetry of having a slipper bush on each end, with the Ioxora centering in the middle and the red yucca on either side, keeps it very simple. Gravel is a great ground cover that keeps the earth moist, keeps in moisture, and keeps the dirt from blowing around. So this walkway continues around to the next part of the house. And here we have an incredible pencil cactus. This pencil cactus, although it is harmful for children and little cats and dogs, if it's eaten, usually people don't eat their plants. But it is something you have to be aware of, because there are poisonous plants out there. Poinsettias, for instance, are a poisonous indoor plant. But this, and actually the poisonousness that happens is really a pepper taste. I've worked with the pencil cactus before and broken a branch, and there's a white gooey salve that comes out of the plant, but it generally doesn't do harm. And in other times of the year, it's an all green plant. As you can see, it's starting to turn back to the green. Again, here is the Mexican petunias, and you can see the periwinkle blue, beautiful flowers. I like lots of flowers and natural shapes. Here in the garden, we've added a little windmill, and as you can see, there's just a touch of wind to make it go around. Down here, we've done another feature, and I want to show you this from inside the house as well. This is another fountain. It is cast in concrete and has a bronze patina. the 4 sculptures on the wall, and those are individual stepping stone sculptures. And I will show you from the inside of the house that it looks like a tree with the fountain being a stem. Larger rock used on the bottom helps to differentiate the different garden areas. Again, all these plants are evergreen, natural growing, so no trimming is involved. They just expand. Now, since it is spring, our tulip tree here hasn't quite found all of its leaves yet. But as you can see, we've made a beautiful garden, and when this is in full bloom, it really does give privacy to this courtyard that I'm going to turn around on shortly. Again, an amoeba-shaped large rock area really makes the cactus and the Mexican petunias stand out. And I don't know if you can see it, but we have 2 types of lighting. We have solar lighting, which comes on by itself after the sun generates the energy all day, and at night when it gets dark they automatically come on. And then we've also added some electrical lights, and here you can see we have 2 different kinds, the solar and the electrical. And that is nature of the beast, the plane going overhead here in Southern California. Okay, the electrical lights do tend to be a little bit brighter. And when you have electrical lights, you can choose to have a timer box, which we've concealed here behind this plant. And I can put that timer box on either dusk to dawn, or I can set specifically the time that I would like to use. So I'll give you another angle of the tree of life, I call it, in this beautiful backyard. But I want you to see the sitting area that is right next to it. And this is an alcove in the house. The sun's going to play a little trick on me here. Here we go. And here we've done a fire pit, 4 comfortable chairs. These are rocker slider chairs, so you glide in them and you can rock in them. We have a pair of gates which give a nice entry to this separate area, and the natural plant, the elephant ear, just does so nicely. We even have a floor lamp for a little extra lighting at night. So I want to go inside and show you what this looks like looking at the fountain from the outside. So hold on 1 second. So here is the view from inside the house. From the kitchen area, I can see this beautiful fountain. And now you can really see the tree of life, as I call it, with the sculpture surrounded by the 4 chairs and the plants. It just makes a really inviting spot for you to wake up and have a cup of coffee, or finish your evening with a nice glass of Chardonnay by the fire. Natural elements, as this end table looking like a treetop, adds all of our elements of metal, fire, fabric, square shapes. These are all good feng shui elements. They help to keep the outside grounded just as well as the inside is. So let's take a walk back around and see the garden from the other angle. See how the path just draws you down to that beautiful corner? We've angled the corner with great blocks, making the wall and the raised bed stand out from the existing wall that separates the houses. And as you can see, it just softens the house. The houses are somewhat close together, not as much, but somewhat. And here you can see, looking right into the sun, our gorgeous view of the mountains. So let's take a look out front. Oh, wait a second. I did forget something, so we're going to come around here. We can't forget that your outside space is also just as important. Here we have a dining set. Indoor-outdoor rugs makes it very soft on your feet, so you don't see all the concrete. We're able to hang a TV, as you noticed. We hung it on the wall where the sun does not set into, so that the glare isn't abundant. We replaced the ceiling fan with a light fixture, although having a ceiling fan outside helps to keep the air and the movement flowing. These were very interesting bird cages that we picked up. And again, the Ioxora plant does very well up in a raised area. Of course, they have to be watered, but they do continue to bloom. And here we have another just nice little sitting area and our barbecue area. You can have lanterns that can be lit to add a little bit of romance for some candlelight, and just a nice little place to sit and gather. This is called cannon. In the north, it is grown as a annual. It does not generally come back every year. In the south, though, it is a perennial. And you can see just adding that color and texture in the greenery really warms up this entire space. So again, treating the gardens is just as important as treating your areas that you'll entertain in. We've even brought home a couple of masks that we've collected from Puerto Vallarta to give an interest and a feeling of home. A memory is shared every time you look at that mask. So I'll meet you in the front and we'll talk about the front landscape next.
You're watching Living Life Home Design Concepts, as brought to you by the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. If you're interested in finding more shows about sports, news and entertainment, and pop culture, you should check out our fresh voices and a fresh perspective by checking out our other shows. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at ETB Network. Again, both Facebook and Twitter at ETB Network. The Empty the Bench Podcast Network. We're more than just sports.
Hi, Howie Morgeson here from Living Life, Sweets, Treats, and Eats on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. As you can see, it's all about the food, and lots of it. On each podcast, we're going to make dishes that I have discovered and found out there, things that I've fixed for my family that they really enjoyed. It's all about the food and how to enjoy it. It's also simple dishes that you can put together on your own. We'll show you techniques on how to prepare the food. We'll show you how to serve it and display it. So it's all about the food, and we hope you can join us. So again, Sweets, Treats, and Eats on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. I hope you can join us.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying tuned in to Home Design Concepts on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. I am Tony Montuori Jr. We're going to take a look at the front yard of this beautiful home and show you different textures and styles that makes it stand out from other homes on the block. Low maintenance. That is the idea of all the garden that I'm showing you here on this house. Everything is low maintenance. No trimming unless it's getting into a walkway or getting out of hand and you want to trim it. This center tree on the right side of this home is called Grevillea Moonglow. It also comes in another color, pink, and that is called Grevillea Jasmine. It is indigenous to the Southern California area, but as you can see, the incredible flowers that this plant has is just, and I guess that's why they call it Moonglow. Continuing down and onto the other side of the home, we've done texture with gravel rock, small, in the 1/4 to 1/2 inch, and larger rock, which are the 4 inches to 7 inch pieces. We've added texture and design by blending them both in. And again, the guava plants are all natured for Southern California. And I'm just going to take a minute to show you how we built another natural rock wall here. Let me get out of the sun here. And that adds a new level for this Mediterranean palm tree to become the focal point. Less is more. As you can see, we didn't plant 6 different plants. We planted 4 of the same yuccas on the top here. We planted cactus in between. Again, our popcorn plants to bring up the same theme as the backyard. And there is a reason for both of the mounding and the large rock that we did here on the side of the house. A lot of people have dogs and they walk their dogs. Well, you know what dogs like to do. So by adding the larger rock to the complete side of this house, the dogs don't like to walk on the rocks. So we've kept the dogs off the property. But we've repeated the plants again, the Mediterranean palm tree, which we have in the back as well, the Mexican petunias, and the popcorn plant. And these very simple trees to give height, heaven, man, and earth, and bring beautiful texture to this home. Outdoor lighting enhances all of the work that you do. But as you can see as I walk, none of these plants need trimming. I don't know how to put that any other way of low maintenance and why I feel that's important. But it really helps with making your different style choices. I guess my style choice is low maintenance with lots of color, but everybody has different ideas. You have English gardens, you have Zen gardens, which may not have any plants in them, but sand and textures of rock. And English gardens would have box-shaped plants, which can be very interesting as well. But framing out your house and giving it the texture, highs and lows, can really add the same design elements as the inside of your home.
Hi, I'm Jerry Barmash, host of Here Now the News. I've used this microphone over the years for radio work, and I take that mic and the experience to this weekly podcast. If you've been a regular viewer, you know guests have varied from politics to pop culture. There was a bartender who wrote about his adventures making drinks at Hamilton. Petrie Hawkins Bird chatted about his working relationship with Judge Judy coming to an abrupt end. And there are plenty more where that came from. Here Now the News, part of the Empty the Bench podcast network, features one-on-one engaging, entertaining interviews. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to Here Now the News on YouTube. And thanks for watching.
I hope you enjoyed looking at this magnificent backyard and front yard. Design does not have to mean just design inside your home. Outside living space is just as important. And as spring approaches, you have to prepare for it. So you have to plan, work out your budget, hire the right people, or do-it-yourself projects. Enjoy your lovely fountain that you can add, do symmetrical planting. Remember, I like low maintenance planting, but there's all kinds of gardens. The English garden has squared bushes or shaped like circles, even some topiaries, which look like animals. Zen garden has all your sand sculptures or different easy plants for a soothe atmosphere. You heard my chimes going in the background, which keeps the energy flowing in our areas. So you can always reach out to me and ask a question on my email is interiorconcepts30@yahoo.com. I'm Tony Montuori Jr. on the Home Design Concepts on the Empty the Bench podcast network. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter to download other episodes that you can enjoy and write down the names of the plants that I mentioned. So join us next month and I'll have a new tip of the week for you. Actually, it's of the month, but that's fine too. I'm going back to that fire pit where it was a lot warmer. See you next month.